the truth. It's way too easy to just hang out in the house. Like in Brooklyn, I would go get food. I'd go get the dog food, eating the raw chicken from across the street, and I'd interact with some friends that one of them worked at the store. So I'd talk to Nazneen or go see Rob. Rob was always, he would work there sometimes. So I'd force myself to get out of the house. It's way too easy to just stay indoors, you know? So I do. I sort of force myself daily to just like, whatever. Like, there's no reason, I don't need anything at Dollar General. I don't. But I'm like, fuck it. I get in the car and at least I'm outside. It's like, I need to see, I can't see the same thing all the time. It's like, that screws up my perspective. So, you know, like the art studio was sort of even worse because it was one big room. And also, the dogs are being quiet. I gotta go. You need to have time away from the dogs. That's the great thing about dogs. They're not kids. You can just, I'm leaving. You know, don't say a word to them, either they'll get separation anxiety. But it's just like, for a person like myself, it's way too easy just to like stay inside, because I already have this thing, like I can't make art unless I'm at home. So like I don't want to really like socialize, or because I might get an idea and I want to produce it. I was talking about this earlier, that like I get an idea to live stream, I just pick up the phone, I do it. This is how I am. I sort of, when it comes to anything, live streaming, I don't know if it's not art, but there's like a creative thing that I have to do when I do it. So if it's anything, wow. I can't back up now, it's too steep of a hill, but I just saw like this sign that was like embedded into the tree, it grew around the tree. But like, so, you know, anything that's creative, if I get the idea, I just function and do it. I don't, some stuff is planned out for sure. Absolutely. Some stuff has to be like an installation. It's totally planned out. I see it in my head. I start thinking about everything I need for the installation, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of it is sort of intuitive and kind of spur of the moment. I might just, I might have an object, I might see an object, I pick it up, and I get an idea, and that's where I go with it. I might be just using the material, and you know, when I start using it, I figure out what I'm going to make. It really all depends. Sometimes it's like totally contrived, you know. Tomorrow's going to be warm out though. Definitely taking one of the dogs to the woods. Maybe one or two, I don't know. Should probably take Tonka, but fuck, he's a pain in the ass. He's gonna think we're bird hunting. That's the problem. I don't want to take him. I feel like I'm fucking with him. I'll do the dummy launcher with Tonka, and I'll take somebody else that doesn't think we're gonna go bird hunting. Tonka, that's, you know, that's what it's trained to do. I'll do something else with Tonka. But it's like too easy to, I mean, there's been times in my life where, you know, I'm working on something, I don't really leave the house at all. If I have everything there I need, you know, why am I gonna go anywhere? But I always sort of like make a point of like, at least I gotta go to the corner store. Every day I gotta get out of the house, you know, it's important. And I'm not talking about the backyard, I'm talking about like out, this isn't like public, but it's, you know, it's out off the property. Our giant property, the compound. Because you know, it would be really easy for me to be a person that just, well, maybe, I'll tell you what, back in the day when I was smoking the hemp, which I tried it, then I'd really not want to leave. Because it sort of made me paranoid. That's the truth. So I really wouldn't want to go anywhere, because I might go up to the local store and start feeling like I look like an idiot. You know, when I was younger, it had that effect upon me. When I was a teenager and I smoked the weed, definitely, I'd be like, oh, fucking paranoid and shit. I don't know what that was, but I didn't really want to go anywhere. And if I did go somewhere, I just felt like I was a fuck up, like, oh my God, somebody's looking at me. You know? That's what weed does. I'm not saying it shouldn't be legal, it should. And stuff like that, I talk to a lot of people my age, you outgrow it. You're not paranoid anymore or something. Not that I'm saying I smoke hemp, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if I did, I probably wouldn't be paranoid anymore. So that's what my friends told me. But I wouldn't be driving for sure. That's one thing, that because of legalization of marijuana, people are going to have to keep that in check. If you're going to smoke weed, you better stay at home. Now, I know how it works. Like, if you smoke weed, you could be unstoned in an hour or two, something like that. 2 hours, be unstoned. But if you do edibles, do not get in your car. Do not do it, and those things can last for 8 hours. And if you take too much, you're stuck. And it's going to be just as unpleasant as drinking too much. That is the truth. I'm telling you. Do not. Everybody's going to be able to buy them. That bill is going to the Senate. If it passes the Senate, states that are going to legalize weed. So just keep that in check. Like, don't do edibles and jump in your car, because you could hurt somebody. Don't drink and jump in your car, fuck. Thank my lucky stars, me and my friends never, we were in high school, we were doing stupid shit. Everybody was drinking and driving. It was like it was no big deal back then, which it was a big deal. The adults want to go to the bar, of course the kids go, we play pool, drink sodas, whatever. And so it was getting late. My dad was going to stay and drink, because my dad was like me, was a drunk. And so he wanted to stay later. Morty was going to go back, and my dad said, why don't you get Peter a ride back to the worship's house? That's where we would stay when we're duck hunting. It was like this old farmhouse. A lot of people were staying there. There's a lot of beer drinking with the adults and shit. This guy Joe Ligamero would come over from the hill. That was the Italian area. Sort of, what would be the term? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so Joe would just come over there and cook. He didn't hunt. He didn't kill ducks. I don't know what he did. But there's always this talk about, I found this, it fell off a truck. That's Joe Ligamero was always bringing stuff over. You want this? It fell off a truck. It'd be like a TV set. Shit like that. It'd be expensive stuff. So Morty said to my dad, he said, Peter, aren't you tired? We got to get up early and go hunting. Why don't you go back with Morty? So I get in Morty's car. It was my dad and Morty had similar cars. Morty had a 2-door Lincoln, which was more badass looking. And my dad had the 4-door Lincoln Continental. Those were fast fucking cars. So Morty's driving back. Morty had one eye. And he could, if you cover one eye and you try and drive or something, watch out, because it's not how you think it is. And he explained it one time. He said, well, you have to sort of turn your head, right, so that you could get the perspective right. So he's hammered. He's fucking hammered. And I'm sitting in the seat next to me, and he goes, Pete, put on your belt. Put on the seat belt. I've had a little to drink. And I was like, yeah, I know. So I put the seatbelt on. We're trying to go home, and I'm watching Morty. And he's filming, saying, Uncle Morty. Oh, yeah. And then he looks at me and laughs. Almost took a snoozer there, didn't I? Some shit like that. Like, he said, don't worry. We'll get back. We'll be all right. And at one point, Morty was, you know, sort of going off the road, and I said, Uncle Morty. He wakes up, we're going off the road already into the, like, lake that we hunt. And anyway, we made it back after that. He just took a dip into the lake. He pulled it out, back up onto the road, going about, I don't know, 45. And wake up the next day, and he's like, oh man, I feel like shit. And my dad said, yeah, you got some duckweed on the front of your car. What happened? I said, he was like, I don't know. You know, like, I think I took a dip in the lake, and sort of laughing about it. And he goes, Peter, I gave you a ride home, didn't I? Yeah. He goes, is that what happened? I said, yeah. You took a dip in the lake. But I wouldn't, I'd never say, like when I was a kid, people my age, when you were kids, man, you never said anything impolite to an adult, ever. Maybe your parents. But you never, like, a teacher or anybody like that, Uncle Morty, I would have never said anything. Yeah, you were fucking drunk, you almost killed us. You know, like that. But I've been used to it because my dad was a drunk. My dad took me several times to in the car when he was wasted. But what he had learned was, like, it's better to have, like, somebody that's 8 years old and sober driving than you, however old my dad was, drunk. So when we would go duck hunting, when we were coming back from Valmeyer, Illinois, he'd have me drive. So every time we go over to Valmeyer, I'd grab 2 phone books because I had to sit on the phone book so I couldn't see over the dashboard. So I learned to drive when I was about 8 years old. That's true. Now, he didn't just throw me in the car and say, drive us home. There was a process of him teaching me how to drive, and that was just driving around dove hunting. So I did all the driving. He goes, go down this road. He was a good teacher, driver. He had, he worked for PPG. They sent him to, like, driving school and stuff like that. Not because he got a DWI. It was like, they just did that because my dad was doing a lot of driving. So my dad had explained that, like, if you're going into a corner and you're going too fast, you know, once you get into the corner, speed up. Don't brake because it's gonna, you know, you can't make it around the corner. So speed up, and the centrifugal force keeps you around the corner. So he'd be doing that and be like, okay, I want you to go into this corner real fast. And I'd be going and go, now 10 miles more. I want you to go in there real fast. I want you to brake right when you get there, and then I want you to lay on the gas and make it around that corner. So he was, you know, snow out. Peter, come here. I want to show you how to get unstuck in a car because the car's stuck. So he taught me how to, like, rock it. Put it in drive, put it in reverse, put it in drive, put it in reverse. Using your pedal, put it in drive, put it in reverse. Get the car rocking and you get the car going. That's not good for your transmission, but he always had a company car. Even if it was the Lincoln, him and Morty might have owned the company, but it was company cars that they leased. But so he was quite the driving instructor. Even my brother that didn't go, you know, because he was young too, he's 22 months older than me. He'd be, he knew that I was learning how to drive, so Michael wanted to come just so he could drive the car. So Michael went hunting with us a couple times, but Michael really wasn't into it. I was the one that really learned how to drive. But I mean, there were times that, like, man, it's probably not a good idea, parents. You know, my parents made some mistakes. Like I said, my dad was an awesome guy. He was really flawed, though, man. That's a terrible judgment call on my father's part. He's drunk. He was drinking. Sort of a creative idea that I could teach the 8-year-old to drive. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I was driving us home from Illinois on the highway. You know, it was safer. It was safer for sure because I wasn't drunk. My reflexes were fine. And my dad was a flawed guy, you know. I think parents back then made different types of mistakes, and every parent is going to make mistakes, certainly. Hopefully they don't make huge ones. That could have been a huge mistake, though. You know, that could have been a huge mistake, so it wasn't a good idea. But that's the whole thing about alcoholism. It makes you do things you normally wouldn't do, or say things that you normally wouldn't say. That's the whole thing about, you know, getting wasted. Your brain is altered. So, I know my dad smoked weed too. He did it in front of me when I was in 8th grade. He was still drinking. It was right before he quit. He went next door, and then he brings back a joint. He said, so-and-so gave this to me. They said it's some really good stuff. That's what he said. So he was drunk at this point. This was right before he quit drinking. And so he's smoking, and I'm over at his house. He's no longer on my parents, like, living together. He's divorced. They're divorced. They start smoking it, and I'm thinking it's the stupidest thing in the world, because I wouldn't have touched it. You know, there's no way. In 8th grade, I was like this, like, I was into sports, you know. I wanted to go to the Olympics. There's no way I would fucking do that. I didn't smoke weed or drink until I was about 15 and a half. That's true. And so he's smoking, and he's going, I don't feel anything. When am I supposed to feel it? Like, he's asking me like I'm supposed to know. Like, he assumes that I've tried it in 8th grade. I didn't try it. I said, I don't know. I don't know, Dad. And then I just shut up. I was sort of annoyed with him that he was doing it. It's a gateway drug. That's how I knew it. I knew it as like a gateway drug back then. So I was like, you know, that's a poor choice, Dad. But then I remembered, now he'd been drinking, and we were watching TV, and he just sort of like zoned out, so I'm sure it did hit him. But, you know, and then one other time, I was over at the Lucas's, and this was when I was about 16. And my dad would go over to the Lucas's, and the Lucas's had older kids, and the Lucas's allowed dope, you know, smoking weed down in the basement. They didn't give a shit. They're just like, we don't want any trouble. Just, you guys do whatever down there. We're not really going down there. That's what they would do. I didn't really hang out with the Lucases at that point. But then at a point I was over there or something. I can't remember. I remember the circumstance. I'd rather not talk about it. I didn't have a place to sleep. I was probably about 16, and I saw one of them. And they said, and I had pneumonia actually, and I was sick. I got like kicked out of the house for like not coming home and shit. I thought I was an adult. I thought I should be an adult. That's true. I was in the Navy by the time I was 17. And my mom was like, no, you can't do that. You got to get out. Get out. You want to be an adult? Here, go. So I went to my dad's. And I was staying there, and I had pneumonia. I'd gone to the doctor. But I went out, and I bought some weed. And I went out on my motorcycle. I had pneumonia. And then I came back, and my dad said, what the fuck are you doing? You have pneumonia. You should be in bed. And I didn't tell him I was going to buy weed. And I was just like, fuck off. Something like that. Typical 16-year-old. And I think I was like standing up to my dad. He's like, you know, Peter, you're in better shape than me, but I weigh so much more than you. Don't even think about it. So I walked out. I got on the bike and I left. I had my prescription with me. It wasn't filled. And somehow I ended up at the Lucas's. I don't know how. And Jerry was there. He was one of the older kids. And he said, you could stay here. He's like, that's a terrible cough. Are you all right? And I go, I suppose I have pneumonia. I got medication I can't pick up. And he's like, here, give it to me. And he gave it to Tio or something and said, go down to the drugstore, get his prescription filled, right? So I got it was liquid Dimetapp or something, and penicillin or something like that, ampicillin. So anyway, I was feeling better. There became a time that there was a party downstairs, and there were some kids from the high school, and they were going, your dad's Uncle Mike? Like that, like, yeah, what? Oh, he's fucking awesome. And then they started saying, yeah, he was down here one day doing bongs with us. Like, he came downstairs doing bongs. I'm like, really? And then another one came over. Peter's dad is Uncle Mike? Like that. So I knew that he had smoked weed down there. I could see him doing that. That's, like I said, that's right about the time that he quit. But it probably wouldn't have been better for him if he would have just smoked weed and never drank. But I don't think that they did that back in the day. I mean, that was like beatniks that would do that. My dad wasn't really a beatnik. He was pretty conservative. My mother never smoked weed, never. My mother, like I said, she'd have a scotch on the rocks, or scotch and water is what she liked. She'd have one, maybe two. My dad was like me in that, like, if he was gonna have one beer, he's at least having a 12-pack. But like I said, like he made this is a pretty awesome guy. I liked it. I love the guy. Love both my parents, but he made some terrible decisions. And you would think that, like, being a parent, you would make better decisions than like some of the decisions my dad made. But and some of the decisions, some of the things that made him like a not such a great guy weren't even decisions. It was just like, from like growing up in St. Louis, he had like this racist crap view, and I was just like, fuck, shut up. You know, I was just, as a kid, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. You know, because my mother, not racist at all. She didn't give a shit. She was weird, Republican, but she's really liberal for a Republican, and I'm not even sure if she was voting Republican before she died. She might have switched. So I had said something like, are you going to vote for Hillary? She said, I'm thinking about it. That's what she said. So I don't really know what she did. But I mean, my dad, shit would just roll off of his lips, like, you know, and you'd hear it, and it was like, it just cringed, like, oh, fuck, man. Shut the fuck up. That's what I'd be thinking. I'd be just shut up. Stop with that shit. You know, I've said this on my channel. It's real strange. He would say this stuff, but then I'd see him being kind to the people he'd use like a derogatory term to. What the fuck is that? I mean, my dad was really dark skinned too. Black hair, real dark skin, same like skin colors Punch from Chips. So I remember Morty Lucas giving him shit, saying, Mike, what the fuck are you? And my dad said, I'm Black Irish. Black Irish is a term that non-whites use to try and fit in. And Morty was just laughing, what the fuck is that? You know? But he would say this shit, and, you know, and he assumed everybody else was like that or something. Like, St. Louis, went to an all-private school, you know, like, really, like, went to Country Day. Probably everybody there was sort of racist, and I think he might have said it to try and fit in, because he probably had the darkest skin in his class. And it just became like expected, like he just thought that was the thing to say or something. Like, fuck, I hated it. My older brother too. Like, I had conversations. My older brother couldn't stand my dad, you know, because my dad would say shit like that. My older brother's gay, so my dad would say stuff, you know, when he was a kid. You know, your kid starts to resent you if you're saying shit like that, because, you know, I knew he was gay when he was a kid, so what are you saying that kind of shit for, Dad? And, interesting enough, my father really didn't care. I asked him, I said, I don't give a shit. Michael can, you know, something like that, you know. I said, you know, it was very vulgar. He said, I don't give a shit. And I really don't think he did. There was this one dude that, like, was friends. They had a kid, and it was clear that this man was gay. And he was married, but it was clear he was gay. I knew it as a kid. I'm like, man, that guy, it's gay. He's gay. And my dad was friends with him. Like, we would go do stuff, the family, and my dad liked him. He was nice to us. My dad didn't have any problem with it. I think I even said once, like, isn't Mr. So-and-so gay? Oh, no. Like that. Like, you know, I'm sure my dad knew because even the kid knew. You know, they said, oh, no. My dad was complicated. You know, I guess we all are. We're all complicated, right? Nobody's like easy, and if they are, they're sort of brain dead, or they lived in a cave. You know, other things that I could say bad about my dad, like, you know, one thing that, you know, hunting with that guy, fishing with that guy had had the patience of an angel with me. Like, I could fucking put a lure in the tree 10 times in a row, and I'd be like, man, I'm sorry, Dad. You know, we gotta take the boat over there to get... Don't worry about it. Just try not to get it in there. Like, he did not fucking care, you know? It's like he didn't give a shit. You know, hunting, same thing. But I was the kid that wanted to hunt, so, you know, the other kids, you know, my other brothers did not want to do it. So I'm sure he was pleased. He was pleased that I was sort of the mini him, which I was. But not in some ways. Like, in some ways I was very much like my father, but, you know, I'm much more liberal in thinking than my father, for sure. I never wanted to be like that, be like my dad in that way. You know, I remember thinking that, like, I love my dad, but I don't want to ever be like that. And I think that that's what we do. We pick and choose, like, what traits we want from our parents, like these, like, behavioral traits. You know, sometimes we pick bad ones, drinking. You know, some things I picked up from my mother, you know, clearly, like being more tolerant of people, for sure. You know, I don't even know that my dad really wasn't that tolerant of people. He would just say this stuff that was just like, fuck. Sure, everybody knows somebody like that. It's like, you know, what's the sense of saying that? Just, especially, I really wonder if my dad really meant it. And I did have conversations with him, like, later in life. I was like, now, you know everybody's born the same, right? He said, yeah, I do know that. What's the point? Why are you saying that shit? But by that time, he was in his 80s. So he had enough time to reflect. Everybody has regrets in life, you know? Everybody has, this is a line from my dad, everybody has things they'd rather forget. That's what he said, and that was in regards to something else of one of my brothers. He was just like, you should just let it go. Everybody has things that they want to forget, you should just let it go. It's true. I mean, everybody, like, you don't... Like if everybody knew what was... You know, everybody has an improper thought at time, you know, from time to time. You even catch yourself doing it, going, what? What am I thinking that for? What? And then bam, it's gone. So, you know, that's not the same thing, but you know what I'm saying. Sue was a total different ball of wax, though. She was totally different than my dad. Liberal, yeah. Liberal in thought, yes. Much more of a... I'm not going to say my dad wasn't an intellectual, but my mother clearly was, and my mother was very well read. That woman could, you know, She would read constantly, just constantly. She had a book in front of her face. She would read garbage books. She'd read anything. She just wanted to read. She said she started doing it as a kid, and then, you know, she just carried it on through adulthood. My father would read, but not like my mom. It would be rare. I'd see my dad reading a book. I remember him reading The Boys from Brazil. He was reading that thing. What else was he reading? I don't know, various things. He would read, I don't know. But Sue had a totally different temperament, that's for sure. My dad would get pissed off, don't get me wrong, he would get like, you know, like in a store, in a store, this was my dad. Like, say we went into a store like a Target. There was a store called Venture in St. Louis. And my dad, like, would be buying something, all right? And then we'd get up to the checkout line, and then there would be like a line. My dad would not wait in the line. He'd be, fuck this, put the stuff down, let's get out of here. That was my dad. That wasn't my mother. My mother wouldn't do that. But my mother, if you were in line with my mom, she'd try and strike up a conversation with anyone. I mean, absolutely anybody. It was embarrassing at times. Like, we'd be with Sue, and she'd be having some kind of, like, you know, my mom had a lot of mania, I guess. Like, she was energetic, let's say. And she'd be, you know, we'd be at a restaurant or something, she'd start talking to the busboy or the waiter that's working, and be like, leave them alone, they need to work. We'd have to say it, like, you know, they're trying to work. And you could tell that they're trying to get away, but they don't want to be rude. Like, it's like either she didn't pick up on the signals or she didn't care. Something like that. Either she didn't pick up on it or she did not care. So she'd just keep talking. But there's a whole thing of, like, if somebody's talking to you, it's a conversation because you can pick up on the signals and, like, stop and let them put something in, interject. Sue would never. It's not an exaggeration, too. It's like, they just go on and on. People liked her, you know. She was, you know, I remember my cousin saying, like, I could tell, like, she was sort of excited that my mom was coming to Thanksgiving because it could be entertaining. My mother would probably cause a scene, so, you know, a scene. It was Thanksgiving or Christmas, my mother would cause these scenes. My mother, during Christmas, would spend all her money, like, way too much money. This is when I'm out of the house, and she would be going to, like, one of my uncle's houses. She'd spend all her money on all these presents for everyone because my little brother told me this. She said, oh, it's crazy. The thing, you know. And then after Christmas, she'd be depressed because she spent too much money. You couldn't tell my mom, like, hey, look, nobody needs any Christmas presents. Just don't do it. Worry about yourself. Or just don't spend a lot of money. No, my mom always, like, went overboard. It was always the same thing, even when we were kids. It was this build-up, and then after Christmas Day, it was depression. So she'd have these bouts of depression, and, you know, it's like she would just be sort of sleeping all the time. She'd be in the room. You know, the house would be a mess. You know, she really wouldn't do anything. Like, you know, she'd just be like, I'm depressed. And she also bragged about, like, not taking medication. You know, oh, the doctors told me I should be on medication for the rest of my life. And I've never had to do it. Well, she should have, because it made our life hell. So, now the woman always carried down a job. The last job she had, she was executive director of, this is years ago, the Kidney Foundation. She had a really good job. Until I think she showed her crazy side. I mean, she had that job for a while, but if you're sort of crazy like that and you don't keep your shit around the right people, they start seeing you as crazy and we need to get rid of you. So they fired her, I believe, or forced her into retirement or something like that. They do that a lot. Somebody gets to be about my age, they get them to retire early so it's cheaper for them, and then like you get the choice of like you could start taking money now, or you can wait another 10 years and then take money. And you know, it's sort of damned if you do and damned if you don't. So then my mother was in charge of a chamber of commerce of a small town. And I don't know how happy she was there. She was, hang on, I want to see what that is. What is that, boots? Hang on. Sherwin. Oh, some cheap boots. But she was, she was interesting, like I said, like it's a good thing she didn't drink. She didn't need it. Smoke like a chimney. Sue would fucking smoke and smoke and smoke, like, hey Peter, how old were you in this story? I think I missed the start of the story. He taught me to drive when I was about 8. It was like 3rd grade or something. Something like that. But, anyway, I don't even know if anybody's listening to this garbage. I just needed to get out of the house. You know, it's just like, I can't just be there all the time. I feel like I'd be turning into Sue when she was depressed. She wouldn't leave. Well, she would, to go get cigarettes and shit. Sometimes she'd send us up to Woods drugstore to get her cigarettes, because back in the day you could do that, send the kid up there. There were a lot of things you could do, you know, a long time ago that you can't do now. It's trash. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, I want to go look at this. I'll be right back. It's an old steamer trunk. Might take it. Looks like art material. Well, the steamer trunk is very nice, but it's full of stuff. And I opened it up, and it's not money. It's not full of money. It was full of like old photographs and shit, like in albums. It's like solid, like moving like a tree trunk. It was all wood, pretty much. Sort of weird throwing away photographs. Not very nostalgic for sure. But the steamer trunk was sort of nice. It was just I didn't have anything to put the photographs in. You know, what am I gonna do? I can't dump them out. These people are up the street from me. You know, I don't know what I'd do with the old steamer trunk anyway. I would use it for art. I've used the steamer trunk before, but I don't know. Is anybody even here? There's my, see, here's Toxic Sam. Wow. Laughing my ass off. And the thing's still going. It looks like 16 people are here, but I don't see anybody talking in the chat. And I don't know why that happens. I'm sort of disappointed in YouTube's product. You know, it's not real good. Can't wait for tomorrow. It's gonna be warm. It's outside. It just sucks. It does. It sucks. I'll drive up and see if there's anything in the post office box. That's 103 Beaver Dams, New York, 14812. Before I go back. There's probably nothing in it. I'm not even sure why I have it. It's like expense that I shouldn't have. It's not really been used. Yeah, I want to get a lot done tomorrow. It says driving tomorrow. Driving is not off. Taking vitamins again. Sort of religious about it. I take a multivitamin, I take a vitamin B complex, I take B12, taking B3, some niacin, because it's here, because I had it from. And I have C, vitamin C. I wouldn't want to live in a trailer. Some of those are nice though. It's like the people like, it's all like, see, and like I can't, nobody's toxic. Toxic was the last comment at 6:23. I see no more comments. So how much, you know, I know, hey, I realize I'm just driving around telling stories, but if I wanted to pull over and talk to you all, I should be able to, and I can't because YouTube's live stream isn't working right. It just doesn't. It doesn't work right anymore. It's just, maybe I'll try the other phone. This is the 13. Maybe I'll try doing it on the 12. But that's real sort of disappointing, YouTube. Can't make any money, man. Come on, YouTube. It's bullshit. Maybe I'm gonna have to live stream on Facebook. Oh God. I will. I'll go back to doing that. Let me straighten out the car a little bit. I will. I was fixing my dual tripod thing today, so I could do it. So maybe I can keep building up. I don't know. What the fuck? I was winging it, man. Just making it up as I go along. That's what life is. I got to change this O2 sensor. Let me get out of here and see if I can reach in there without buying an O2 sensor wrench. I think I better get the wrench. I don't really want to. Stresses me out to work on cars. Oh, look. I'm going to close my eyes for a bit. See you later. That's at 6:54. I don't even know what to think here. Welcome to the live chat at Sane. Oh, well. I guess I'm gonna go. I'll probably do it